Happy Tuesday morning. Texas Homer here. Paul Wadlington going with his kind of share vibes now. He's just Paul if you read his bio there. And so today we're going to talk about the illusion of the transfer portal. There's been some interesting gamesmanship that's also occurred during those meetings. It's really funny. Then we're going to talk about the upcoming schedule of SEC quarterbacks. Does Paul think we got a more of a murderer's row than we did this year? We'll have to see. And then we're also going to talk to you about the offense, and do we need to expect a reload and things are going to go very smoothly, or because of the amount of losses, do we need to expect an actual rebuild on the offensive side, maybe projecting to being at our strongest next year? All right, Paul.
All right. When we talk about the illusion of the portal, do you have a Doug Henning clip that you could put?
No, I do
Remember
not.
that guy?
No, they're who's Henning?
Doug Henning was a magician who looked very goofy, and he always wore a super tight bodysuit with like magical incantations on it. And he would always talk about illusion.
Mm-mm. Good morning, Roaster. And then good morning, Splendid Daddy, formerly known as Sugar Daddy.
I like that he's embracing Bobby Kennedy's call for better health and less additives. And good
absolutely. Portal illusion. So one of your points in the article that we'll get into the funnier part, but the first thing is that basically the portal is false authority. We're voting on things that we have no ability to actually enforce legally.
Right.
So everyone will either have to just agree it's true, like like money, right? We just have to agree on its value, or because if anyone that tests it is going to be a problem, or all the teams are going to have to collude, especially to stop anyone from transferring, which is also not likely because you admit that if Arch Manning goes in the portal and Ole Miss needs a quarterback, they're going to break the brotherly bond there. So what's kind of going on with the transfer portal and kind of the fake reality of it right now?
Well, the portal is like Valentine's Day. It's a false construct that actually Valentine's Day has greater penalties if you don't honor it.
It does.
But it's all made up.
As I was told last night.
Yes.
So
the portal, try spinning the Valentine's Day is all made up by corporations thing.
Yeah, good luck.
Your wife.
Yeah.
And
I was told I needed to work my Connor magic to have a good Valentine on Friday, and I said, "All right, yes, ma'am."
There you go. So the portal is effectively made up because if it's challenged in the courts, the NCAA is going to lose. As they lose everything that gets challenged.
It's remarkable.
But here's the funny thing. This is the sneaky coaches, sneaky loser coaches, by the way. The NCAA football coaches meeting, had 60 coaches in attendance. And that was held in North Carolina, January 12th through 15th. And they voted unanimously to limit the portal to one window in the winter, January 2nd through 12th. Mm-hmm. So what was happening around January 12th through 15th, Connor, that some coaches didn't get to participate in?
Yeah, the highest performing coaches were busy still playing football.
Texas, Ohio State was January 10th. Notre Dame, Ohio State was January 20th. So none of the coaches who made the playoffs went to the NCAA coaches meeting. And those coaches voted to have the portal be during playoffs. And I think these are a lot of the have-nots who did that purposely so that the Ohio States, the Texases can't raid their rosters. That said, that window is just a suggestion. It's a figment of our imagination that unless we all agree, it's only binding to the schools, and it's only binding to the schools to the degree to which they actually participate. So you're actually asking people to all believe in a sort of an unreality. And the thing is, if all the schools agreed to freeze out anyone who wanted to transfer in, say, February or March, it would actually work. But if Arch Manning wants to transfer in March, you will find willing schools to take Arch Manning. Doesn't matter what they agree to in principle. So the portal is basically an illusion. If everyone agrees to it, I guess it exists, but there's no reason to think that everyone's going to agree to it. So it's kind of a funny conundrum that they find themselves in.
Aren't they going to get antitrust immediately, though, if they literally fix the market to say no one can transfer?
Well,
isn't that by definition going to not hold up in court?
So what they could say is administratively, we don't feel that we individually all agree that we don't think it serves the best interest of the student athlete because it's coming mid-semester. And I think that you could get a court or a judge to possibly sign off on that. But again, it's requiring every school, it's requiring NC State to say, no, we don't want Cam Ward if he wants to transfer here.
In a sport that's literally known for rivalries and kneecapping each other.
And it also suggests that, there won't be tampering outside the portal. I mean, it's just, there's no way that they're going to be able to all stick to it. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny that the quote unquote loser coaches, the have-nots, all voted to have the portal be open for only 10 days. Right. So Sark was supposed to prep Ohio State and also have all of his portal visits.
Yeah.
And there would not be a spring portal.
It stops Sark from poaching, which is what they want. But also it takes advantage of Texas not being able to play defense on some of their guys too. So it's like the other schools in turn could start working deals with their second and third strings in Texas. And then, so that's the tricky part. JW Crunch. I would say we're going to do an hour on this. It's actually a philosophy.
It's an important epistemological and empirical question. JD Crunch, if everything's an illusion in this construct, go jump out of a window and demonstrate the power of your ideas.
Do not do that. Do not listen to Paul.
But you would find out if everything's an illusion.
You would. But do not do that.
But don't do that. We assume no legal liability for JD Crunch.
That's a lot of fun.
We're not concerned for you as a person. We're more concerned about the legal liability.
Yeah. So the reality is if everyone agrees and kind of fixes it, that can happen. But that's not going to occur, right? So what are we actually saying? That this is just a futile exercise where coaches can for a day feel they have some control over this?
I think the important thing is that we spent 7 minutes and 30 seconds talking about it.
Right.
That's the
most important thing is it gave us a topic to lead the show.
The important thing is it gave us an intro topic and it got the chat thinking very philosophically. We're about to see some Nietzsche, some John Locke, some
Hegel,
some Heidegger. Yeah, Hegel. It's all coming down. So good. Gravity is an illusion. Very good. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the portal stuff is funny. I don't know what you do here. You're just going to have to get legislation but I don't know, man. Because if we're really looking at if we were saying, and you worked in Silicon Valley, you know this better than me. But say for instance, I work in tech, right? And I want to leave to any employer anytime I can. I can do that. But what if all the employers did get together and say, no, only in April you can change? Would that hold up? If they said it was for my best interest?
So there are formal and informal cartels. And it's some of those things can be hard to prove, right?
Yeah.
If you're blackballed in a certain industry, people can just say, no, we as an individual company evaluated him and found that he's not a fit with our company. And people could say, wow, 32 different companies all individually decided that. And everyone goes, yeah. Yeah. I mean, sorry. I mean, it's hard to prove a conspiracy if there isn't a smoking gun email that says, hey guys,
would you like to conspire?
And by the way, the NCAA or any NCAA bureaucrat would be dumb enough to do that. So that is
they actually would. That's the funniest part. It's would you guys like to conspire on this issue?
Yes. And the title of the email is conspiracy.
You can just do a freedom of information.
That's exactly right.
But yeah, it is fun. And we just saw another one uphold the Pavia junior college doesn't matter concept too. How do you feel about that? Not legally, but just as a
What do you mean?
Where
the idea that your time there doesn't count?
Right.
I think many people who went to junior college would agree. I took my upper division Spanish at ACC, and I feel like that did not count.
Dude, that was the move, man. I didn't do it, but everyone there was all these ways at Texas to game the system out of the classes you didn't want to take. I knew people would do it with the sciences or something like that, but people would route around the classes they didn't want to take by taking them at ACC too, which was
dude. I was such an idiot. This is such a this is so my life. I gamed it to take upper division Spanish at ACC, and the guy walks in the class. Yeah. He's getting his doctorate at UT, and he opens it by saying, I know some of you are here because you thought this was an end around, but this entire class will be conducted in Spanish. It's going to be harder than anything at Texas.
Yeah.
I got a B and destroyed the whole, I thought this was going to be an easy A, upper division, pad my GPA before I graduate. And I struggled to get a B in this class. And that was not good. My Spanish name in the class was Zorro, though, which he we
didn't do Spanish names. I took my Spanish at Texas and I remember barely any of it, but I was also the one that my teacher was from Spain my third year. And so she had the lisp. And I did not realize that was an accent thing. I thought she had a speech impediment. Yeah, I thought exactly. And I thought she had a speech impediment about halfway through till someone had to explain to me. But it was super confusing to me for that period. But
the legend around that, whether true or not, is that lisp developed an emulation of a king who had a severe lisp. So everyone in the court, because they're a bunch of kiss asses, emulated the king and all started speaking with a lisp. Yeah. And it effectively just caught on.
But thank you for reminding me of the ACC workarounds that everybody was like trying to game the system at Texas. I totally forgot about that, but it is true. Tough. I wonder if that still's going on. I'm sure it is, but that was a lot of fun. All right. Upcoming SEC quarterbacks, Paul. First things first, how do you feel about this class compared to last year's?
You know what? I'll tell you what. Last year was pretty much a disappointment across the board, wasn't it?
That's how I felt.
Milroe didn't perform up as expectation. Carson Beck certainly did not. Hughes had a drop off from a sophomore year. Mm-hmm. Injury related, though, in his instance, somewhat, I think. And then, just everyone sort of underperformed. Jackson Dart, I guess, was the guy with high expectations that performed relatively at expectations, but I think below still. Because if you look at his SEC play, it wasn't very good. So we've got a whole new group of quarterbacks. I actually think that these guys have a lot of potential. And the interesting thing about them is the sheer number of them that are super athletic with cannon arms who can throw down the field.
Yeah.
Arch throws bombs. Arch ain't the only guy who throws bombs in the SEC this year. Lenoris throws bombs. Garrett throws bombs.
Lagway throws bombs.
Lagway throws bombs. And these are a bunch of big athletic quarterbacks with big arms. They're not scared to go downtown, and they can all run and create, or they're just giant monsters in the pocket that you have trouble getting on the ground. So they're going to be less experienced, less ballyhooed than last year's crop, but I think there's a good chance they end up being better collectively as a group.
Definitely more interesting.
For sure.
Their skill sets are cooler. And that's going to be, because a lot of them you're right, big body. They can run functionally at least, and they can throw it deep. Let's talk about the ones you just did in part 2, and then we'll go to the ones we're going to play. But
I did some quarterbacks that we aren't going to play. We think, although we might see them in the SEC title game if everything goes on our side correctly. But we've got like South Carolina, Lenoris Sellers. When I was doing my research for my preview book, I was trying to figure out, Lenoris Sellers is replacing Spencer Rattler. What's this guy about? And I find out he's a Palmetto State legend. He is a high school legend in South Carolina. And I was like, 6'3", 245. Is this a misprint? I don't want to put this in my book if this is wrong. Yeah. And I looked it up, and I was like, nope, he's 6'3", 245. And he's sporting the Urkel glasses and runs like freaking Superman. And so
he runs with the intent of a running back too.
He does, but he's actually got some wiggle as well.
He does, but I'm saying like how he physically moves is not like a quarterback. It's impressive. Like he's not.
And you know how quarterbacks run upright?
Yeah, he did.
And they take shots.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he's running back. He's not holding the ball like this, but his forward hunch is like he's carrying.
He's got lean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's as big as Colin Simmons.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got edge size.
He's about as strong too. Yeah. So early in the year, pretty shaky, kind of the classic dual threat. Like, if he has to improv, if he has to go to his second read, you're in big trouble. But as the year evolved, and South Carolina started the season 3-3, as the season evolved and progressed, it really started to click for him. And they went 6-1 down the stretch, including a big win over Clemson, where Lenoris Sellers was a force of nature. So he's going to be a really interesting quarterback. Gun of an arm, incredibly powerful runner.
He cancels out offensive lines too. Like A&M sacked him about 45 times.
Yeah,
and
they blew out A&M.
Yeah, it's like that crazy part. That pocket strength and ability to hold up in the pocket's crazy too.
Yeah, he is going to be an interesting X factor in the SEC. And South Carolina is going to be a contender. They lose a lot on defense, though. So a great deal is going to be put on his big old broad shoulders. But Lenore Sellers is a guy to watch. If you guys didn't watch him last year, he's a treat.
Do you think South Carolina is kind of similar to Iowa State, that like maybe not Iowa State recently? Well, technically they went in the Big 12, but Iowa State always had this problem with like not being cohesive early, dropping too much early, and then figuring it out. Do you think Beamer has that issue? Because like they came together late, but it's like if you lose so much early because you're not gelled, it doesn't matter. You don't get to take advantage of your success late.
I don't know if that's a Beamer thing or just how the season's played out, to be honest.
Yeah.
South Carolina is very talented. I don't think people realize how good this high school football in South Carolina is. But I think maybe their slow start last year was just because they had breaking in a new quarterback, breaking in sort of a new system. Their defense was consistently pretty good all year. But yeah, I don't know. Let's watch that this year. That's something to look for, Connor. That's a good thought.
Yeah. Man, I remember watching them last year and being like, glad we don't have to play them, dude. With Rocket Sanders, Lenoris, I was like, that's a mean looking offense. Who is a SEC QB that is not on Texas schedule who you do not want to play? We will, once we get through the quarterbacks that we are not going to play, then we can hit you with.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Who do you prefer not? I'll star that AR so I get back to it. If I don't get back to it, AR, just tell me, hey, you forgot me. And then I'll bring it up. All right. Nico over at Tennessee, right? I definitely can say his last name. And
Iamaleava.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I taught you how to say it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So he was golden child, right? Big NIL, stuff like that. He struggled this year. Doesn't mean that the future is bleak for him. We know what 5-star quarterbacks look like in year one. We saw Quinn's up and downness. But I think you said basically that Nico needs to prove his abilities aren't just genetic, right? So he's like, he has some intangibles here, some winnerosity, some winnerness down the stretch. So what do you think about Nico?
Yeah, he's a guy that really rolled it up against bad competition. And then when he played any defense with a pulse, he really struggled. So if you're a Texas fan, you probably might have seen 2 games. One, the OU game, where he had some early success. Then he started throwing the ball and bouncing it off the chest of Sooners. And Tennessee just said, all right, OU's offense is garbage. We're going to play defense. We're going to hand the ball off, and we're just going to get the win. And you saw that formula a few times at Tennessee where they didn't really trust him. And on paper, the guy's 6'6", 215. He's mobile. He's athletic. He can run. He has a cannon arm, but struggles with reading defenses, struggles with intermediate routes. Very inconsistent. And part of that was the Tennessee offensive line was very poor, but some of that was on him. If you watch that Ohio State playoff game, it was humiliating. It was hard to watch.
It was.
It was brutal. So, that was really interesting. We'll see if he progresses. I'm wondering maybe if people are catching up to Heupel's offense.
I was going to say, this is my next question for you. Is the veer and shoot a front-running offense?
Well, I'll say this. If you can limit their running game with an honest box, or you can just live with their running game having some success, and you say, we're just keeping 2 safeties deep, and we're going to take away all those long read routes that you thrive on, when people load the box because they get tired of getting run on. If you take that away, you got to have a quarterback who's got some other juice going on. You better have RG3, right? Who can still hurt you in other ways. So Nico hasn't shown that he has the ability to do that. And I don't think they've shown the route diversity and sort of the optionality within that offense under Heupel.
Well, by definition, you can't have route diversity.
Yeah, I mean, they run
1/3 of your route going out doesn't exist.
They run a vertical, a stop.
Yeah, they're going to run vertical or they're going to run inside. There's no outside route.
Yeah, they've got like 3 routes, more or less.
Yeah, by definition.
So, yeah, I think if you keep 2 safeties deep squatting on, like Tennessee's nightmare matchup, other than Ohio State last year, would have been Texas. We would have chewed them up. So We'll see if his progression is tied to Heupel's offense. A lot of people thought that him going to Tennessee was a mistake for his development as an NFL quarterback.
Well, and I think you said it right. I don't know if the offense scales because you're saying once we can play an honest box, because what's Verenschut trying to do? It's trying to isolate either the box or the guys outside. If you divert resources to the box, then they're going to throw outside, vice versa, right? Well, if you get up against teams that can play a 6-man box, which you are in the playoffs, inherently you're kind of shut down at that point.
Yeah.
So that's why I worry about the Verenschut just naturally does not scale to the highest levels of the sport. You can slaughter everyone up until that point, but as soon as you can play a 6-man box against Tennessee, the offense breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way even in the old Baylor days. That's hard. That's a funny thing for a Texas fan to say because we've seen our share of slaughters. But when we did have defenses, you saw that the it's one of those classic offenses that drops 63 on bad teams.
Correct.
But they face a good defense and they score 17, 14, 13.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have that much of a drop off, right? But they do because it's solving the basic riddle of that offense. All that said, when you install that thing at the high school level and you've got a couple of receivers and a quarterback, it's freaking devastating.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're back out there after a minute and 30 seconds. Yeah. Also, the pace of it can be its biggest strength or its doom in the traditional Verenschut.
You just have to accept traditional defensive metrics don't matter anymore.
It's designed to break all of that.
What you're looking on your defense is yards per play. You're looking at turnovers. Like you're not looking at raw yardage. Like that needs to just be thrown out.
Yeah. All right, guys, before we keep going, let's hear from Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
All right. Back to more SEC quarterbacks, baby. All right, Alabama, man. This is an interesting room, right? You got Ryan Grubb coming back from where was he at? Seattle?
Yeah, Seahawks.
Yeah, you got the team coming back from the Seahawks. That's an important move. And then they kind of have a room that's up for debate right now. So Austin Mack, that's the quarterback that followed him from Washington, right? Ty Simpson, and then Keelan Russell from Duncanville, right? That was right in our backyard. So, or I think you say in your article too, or Portal, right? We're not throwing that out, but kind of talk about that room. It's interesting.
Yeah, Austin Mack is the guy that was very good quarterback in California, high school guy. And he, of course, went to Kalen DeBoer up in Washington. DeBoer transfers out. Mack follows him. Mack is a toolsy guy. He's like 6'6", 235. Think Drew Allar, but we don't know how good he is yet. So he might be better than Drew Allar, right?
I would say that sounds like Drew Allar.
Yeah, exactly. Drew Allar might be better than Drew Allar.
Yeah.
We're not sure yet.
Yeah, we're not sure.
So that's one guy, but he's young, right? So he's the toolsy guy that DeBoer loves. DeBoer actually obviously had him follow him for a reason. Ty Simpson is a guy that's been at Bama. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's been recruited over a couple of times.
I thought he was the weakest of the 5 stars that class. I was like, I didn't think he really was a 5-star.
Former 5-star, but guys can mature. And DeBoer just needs a guy to execute what he's drawing on the napkin. He doesn't need like a ton of freelancing and all sorts of other
joystick
stuff.
Quarterback.
Yeah, so Ty Simpson, I think, is viewed as the early favorite simply because of seniority, but I think that could change. And then Keelan Russell is the X factor, true freshman coming in from Duncanville. I love Keelan Russell. I prefer him to the guy that Texas took. Lacey. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Sark probably knows quarterbacks better than me. I'm going to go out on a limb, but
50-50.
I still like Keelan Russell a lot. Like, I think he's amazing. but seems improbable to me that he'd come in and start as a true freshman. If he does start, I think it's going to be like a game 4 type of deal where he gets put in, balls out, and then they say, all right, let's just roll with this guy and take our lumps.
What do you think they need? Like, what is the skill set that you're going to need to maximize Ryan Williams this year? Because, I mean, we think
you throw the ball to the correct spot on time.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, Kalen DeBoer makes quarterbacking pretty easy for him.
Yeah.
And they just need a guy who will execute. And that's the guy who's going to start. So I think that Alabama, they might have a guy they favor going into the first game. They might have a midseason switch. But I think by the end of the year, whoever's playing quarterback will be creating a more productive passing game than what they had with Jalen Milroe.
Cool. And then one of my favorite quarterbacks in the SEC, Garrett Nussmeier at LSU.
What happens when he plays?
He's fun to exactly as far as an entertainment product, man. And he does some stuff. He's a head scratcher, but also he makes some plays where you're like, "What the hell just happened?"
So PFF has this big time throw metric.
Yeah.
Right. And the idea is they grade. It's somewhat subjective. I mean, it's purely subjective, but they just grade like they grade amazing throws,
NFL level.
Yeah. And Garrett Nussmeier, he's going to have a couple of big time throws every game where you just go, wow.
Yeah.
He's also going to have a couple of wow plays the other way. And I think LSU, part of that was they had no running game. So pretty quickly people realized that they were just going to drop back and throw on every down. And Nussmeier threw for over 4,000 yards last year, but he also had 12 picks. I think he threw 3 or 4 pick sixes, but a couple of them got waved off.
What's his I know you don't know off the top of your head, but did he have a high interception to completion rate? Because if he's throwing for 4,000, he's likely throwing a ton. And so is that even a crazy interception rate for
how much? 29 touchdowns and 12 interceptions.
Okay, so that's not a great ratio there.
But he had 18 turnover-worthy throws. So he had 6 balls basically hit dudes in the hands, and they dropped it.
Yeah.
Defensive.
So he is absolutely sketchy.
He is, but I think a lot of it was LSU's predictability.
Yeah.
And LSU's got some locker room issues. Like, they're just kind of
LSU?
Yeah, LSU, believe it or not.
No.
But the interesting thing about Nussmeier is you hear like he's got a cannon arm, which he does. He's not a big guy.
Yeah.
He's about 6'1.5", 200 pounds. He's mobile either. He really can't maneuver the pocket. He just has a great arm, and he is fearless. So I think he's probably the best known quantity in the SEC at quarterback, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who we're upcoming to play, and yeah. What do you think? You think LSU is going to be good next year?
They got a bunch of talent. It's a question of if they put it together. They're kind of knuckleheads.
LSU?
Yeah. Are they going to like
make a play? It sounds like LSU, man.
Are they going to unload their AK-47 on a defender after they make a play and get a personal foul?
That doesn't sound like LSU. All right, finally, who is an SEC quarterback that we're not playing that you do not want to play?
What do you think? I'm interested in your answer on this, Connor.
Lenoris Sellers.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just because I think because we have edges, like really good edges, but if he can neutralize that by just shrugging them off, that's pretty demoralizing. So that I think he might be the most frustrating quarterback to play. Nussmeier, who I think would drop bombs on you, I think would also throw for 3 picks. So you could kind of balance out. So to me, it's like Sellers would probably be the most frustrating opposing quarterback to play.
I feel like that's the right answer. Nussmeier would throw for like 350 on us with 3 picks.
Right.
I think Lenoris Sellers might throw for like 97 yards against us.
Run for 250.
But rush for 128 and then, convert 3 different red zone trips into touchdowns just running the ball. That guy, like where his stats at the end of the game aren't great, but he made a bunch of clutch plays on 3rd and 2 and 4th and 2.
Not even that, on 3rd and 11. Where you're just like, dude, come on. Like that's what I mean by like he would be incredibly frustrating. Like you see Colin Simmons totally get there on that 3rd down and he just, shirks him off.
He'd be the guy that Game Thread man would really struggle with because some safety will run up and run support and get trucked.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, got trucked by a quarterback. That's humiliating. It's like, he outweighs him by 55 pounds.
Yeah, he's an edge. He's a very rare body style at quarterback.
He's Black Tebow.
Yeah. He's a man. Who do they have at running back coming up?
I don't know. Whoever it is.
Don't have Sanders scary. Like that was the combo is what was also, I think, tough with them, man. Like they had two guys that were running mean, and that mattered. All right. Let's go to the rest of the SEC, Paul.
All right.
This is going to be an interesting one. And whenever I was watching him on the sideline for our game, I felt he was on his villain arc. I was like, this dude is going to pay us back. DJ Lagway, as we were just thumping them and he was supposed to play and went out, they just kept cutting to him. You could see like a potential Texas villain arising that I thought was funny. So what do you think of old DJ Lagway? Here's my first take on him. He was incredible deep, like literally, I think the best in the nation when I checked on him, and I'm sure that held.
Yes.
Everything in below that was below average. He was not quarterbacking. He was playmaking at that point. And so like he wasn't like driving the offense. He was seeing the number one post open up and hitting it. And that also matters, right? But as far as like getting to third progressions and really like the Tom Brady part of quarterbacking, he did not prove yet. He will, because he has all the intangibles. We know his quarterback coach. He's a smart kid. He's a dedicated kid. And he's got a hell of an arm. So DJ Lagway is going to be an absolute problem going forward. But can he do that this year, or is that more DJ Lagway in his third year when he has true command?
I think he does it this year. I mean, he was a true freshman last year.
Right.
And he was spectacular and the best deep ball thrower in college football.
Yeah.
It ain't close.
Verifiably.
Not just statistically, but your eyes agree when you watch, right? Yeah. I mean, just crazy. Hey, one thing, people are like, Texas needs a really good receiver in the portal or two. Every team that we've talked about needs a good receiver in the portal. Yeah. This spring portal at wide receiver is going to be nuts.
You're going to have to be overpaying.
You have got to roll back the Brinks truck, because there are so many contending teams that are one really good wide receiver away from completing their offense. Florida's one of them. And boy, it's going to be really interesting.
Well, in Lagway too, we're not doing the black quarterback stuff. People are like, and he can run. Lagway's really not that big of a runner. He's a functional runner. Remember, he got hurt on the hamstring running. So Lagway has this incredible deep ball. He can functionally move. He can move in the pocket, and he can get you like a third down. He's not going to sprint all over you. That's not his game. But it's just that mid-tier, man. Seeing over the middle, seeing short. If he connects those two pieces, he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country.
Well, the issue with him is you can't get him on the ground.
Right.
He's 245.
Right.
And just like Lenore Sellers, he's strong as hell. Mm-hmm. So people are draped on him. People are grabbing his shoulder pad as he's throwing, and it doesn't even phase him.
Yep.
I mean, so think Ben Roethlisberger. Not fat Ben, but like early Big Ben.
Yeah.
Not the guy where when you put on his helmet, it looked like dough was pouring out of his face mask. So yeah, I think Lagway is going to be really good. But again, Florida needs that one receiver, especially a deep threat, to really unlock him.
Yeah, and he's also going to be a fan favorite, not just for Florida. Like he's going to generate national buzz because he's the real deal behind the scenes too, man. He's a good kid. So he's
another Texas high school quarterback. They're everywhere.
Left which? All right. Oklahoma, baby. Mateer, man. I think that's a good grab, dude. Unfortunately, I like that pickup by Oklahoma.
He was the best available quarterback. Mm-hmm. I know you went and got him. They had to. I
think he fits the OU quarterback, kind of like this hard-nosed, a little bit douchey in their movement, like runner, tough guy. Like OU has kind of like an archetype at quarterback.
I don't think he's douchey.
I mean it like there's edge there, like how he runs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like there's like he's not like Baker was kind of douchey. Kyler wasn't like what I mean. Like Baker had edge. Kyler was just kind of a jerk.
Kyler's a turd.
Yeah, Kyler's just like a rude person. But
a rude person.
Yeah, like that's just like there really wasn't much edge there. He's just not a very like,
Kyler doesn't open the door for women.
Truthfully. And so, but I feel he fits that kind of quarterbacking.
Landry Jones had the stupid Okie Townie mustache.
Yeah. So it's like I think he fits that, like the OU quarterback with a little bit of edge. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a culture fit too, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, Mateer's a great runner. He was a one-man gang at Washington State. He has a good deep ball, but it's hit or miss. And Mateer is a guy who is not conventionally, perfect mechanics kind of thrower, but he can get the ball down the field. And because his legs are so threatening, it opens up things in the offense that would not ordinarily
a frustrating opposing quarterback to play.
So again, kind of keeping with the theme, another example of a guy who can really hurt you with his legs, but also get it deep. So that's going to be something, Pete Kwiatkowski this spring and the staff, they need to get together and come up with some plans of how we're going to deal with these dual threats, because they're going to keep popping up on the Texas schedule.
Yeah. And we kind of got to avoid that. Well, we also just got to avoid good quarterbacks in general this year. So it will be different for our defense to actually play quarterbacks that know what's going on. It's hard to evaluate him because their schedule was garbage last year. They literally played a G5 schedule where they just invited the G5s into the whatever pack situation, right? So it's like their caliber of who they were playing was horrific, right?
I mean, they're not great, but he was also surrounded by comparable talent. So, but they played Texas Tech, so you can go watch that game. They played Washington. So you could see them against other teams that played other people, and you kind of get an eyeball. He was the guy. He was the offense.
Yeah, which I think OU is going to need because they don't have a proven talking about lack of proven wide receivers, right?
He is going to be a one-man gang.
You're going to have Dion in the slot and Burks in the slot, but other than that, you don't have anything known outside. Like Mateer's going to have to.
He's going to throw 30 and run 20.
He's literally going to. I mean, he's Venable's job.
Yeah.
Like his performance is directly correlated to where we see BV.
No pressure.
Yeah. What about the band of mid wide receivers they brought in? What's the story there? Just talking about like the FCS and G5 receivers.
It's hard to project. I just don't know. I will say broadly speaking, the FCS All-American tends to pan out when they go the level up more often than not. So, we'll see.
We'll see. It just feels like OU is recruiting at like a mid-major opposed to a top.
I think they're just trying to field the team, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They're recruiting like that's what I'm saying. This is not a top SEC level recruiting operation. It's like they're trying to like plug holes everywhere. It feels like they're still year one, year two recruiting.
Their plan is to play defense and then tell John Mateer to win games.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Who can win you games in the mortgage market, Paul?
A guy named Gabe Winslow. Write down this number. Memorize this number. Put this number in your phone of the best damn mortgage guy in the great state of Texas. Which, if Texas is the greatest state, what does that make him?
The greatest in the world.
The greatest in the world.
Mm-hmm.
832-557-1095. Give him a call. Find out why he's so good. Find out why his Google reviews are all 5 stars, and there's like 200 of them. 9 paragraphs in each review talking about the incredible solutions that he came up with for someone who said, I couldn't get a mortgage, or I work for myself. I don't know if you know this, Homer, but in a weird way, we value someone who is a W-2 employee for getting a mortgage more highly if they're making $90,000 a year than a self-employed person making $180,000.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing, but certain mortgage guys understand how to underwrite that and help the underwriting process. Gabe is that guy. Give him a call. 832-557-1095. Diehard Longhorn fan. He's got a law degree. He's going to help you with every step of this process. This is the most important financial decision all of us make in our lives. Buying a house. Get a really good team in your corner. It makes a difference.
Gabe's the man. Paul, odds BV survives the next season.
Ooh, that's a great question.
How does
you say about that?
How does Mateer do? Like,
yeah.
That's literally the answer for me. Like,
or does OU have the money?
Yeah. But I felt like even them upping the contract was more like ceremonial. It was more of like a good faith. Hey, this is our guy, than really like putting serious money when they re-upped him. It felt like,
okay, look, here's the deal. If they go 5-7 again, he's gone.
Right.
The problem is if he goes 8-4 or 7-5 even.
Which is likely what will happen.
I mean, does 8-4 keep his job?
It shouldn't. It might though. It's the Herman thing.
If Sark is up 21, well, never mind. If we're up 21 and a half, we're going to win by 7.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want to be up 21.
It's not like we have a plan. But all right, so here's the deal. So I'm going mega galaxy brain here. We don't want OU to hire Kenny Dillingham.
Correct.
So we need Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State to go 7-5 this year. We need OU to go 8-4 to make it the optics not work.
Yeah.
And then Dillingham next year can go 13-2 and he's everyone's darling again. And then OU has to hire Lee Corso.
Yeah, exactly.
And then their program just craters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what people aren't talking about. It's like we don't need OU to make one bad hire. We need them to do 2 because that's how you disappear for 10 years.
Well, if you make 2
that.
bad hires, your odds of making a bad hire for number 3
increase,
go up exponentially because now you're hiring out of desperation.
Exactly. So, yeah, we want them to string together bad hires.
We're not guessing on this as Texas fans. We actually
know exactly what happened. Yep. Drew was able to pick it up. Yep.
We know what this looks like.
Yeah, we needed them to get it wrong twice. All right. Kentucky at quarterback. Is it going to be the kid that we saw come in?
Cutter Boley?
Yeah. He was interesting, man.
Maybe, maybe not. He was so interesting he took a crap down his leg the next week against Louisville. So,
yeah, but he was fun. Whenever he played us, he was frustrating.
He was fun against
quarterbacks on how much they frustrated me.
Yeah, they did bring in a transfer.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? I never followed up on learning anything about it.
I'm blanking on who it is, actually. Dang it. Maybe the chat will tell us.
Or the power of the internet, dude.
That's right. Let's harness the power of crowdsourcing.
Doo-doo-doo.
Anthony Colandrea? Is that true?
Or maybe it wasn't.
People are just guessing random quarterback names.
Is it Calzada?
It's Zach Calzada.
Yeah, from A&M.
Yeah, he confused his Italian surnames.
Yeah, Twitter
said it, and then I saw
Drew. Yeah, well,
formerly of A&M, formerly of Auburn, formerly of Incarnate Word. He struggled at A&M, struggled at Auburn, but he killed it at Incarnate Word.
Okay,
so he's on the upswing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's hot.
Yep. All right, have fun with that, Kentucky.
Good job, Wildcats.
He's got.
So who's more likely to get fired, Stoops or Venables?
Stoops, because this year was so bad, and he cratered the culture like by the A&M move. So it's like
he's a married guy who went to Cabo with a stripper. The stripper broke up with him. He came back into his house, and he was like, "Hey, honey,
yeah, I love you.
I love you. Missed you."
Yeah,
and the wife's just standing there shaking her head like,
"Yep,
dude."
But also, man, that was such a whack move by A&M. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like to hire him, he's like, it's all done. He's told his staff, he told his team, and then the A&M fans riot, and then they just throw it out from under him. That's like, I know you can't just go through with it at that point at A&M, but man, what a gross thing to do to somebody.
But that the A&M AD fails upward and gets the Ohio State AD job.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that was also there's a part of me that really feels for Stoops because Stoops did nothing wrong. He took A&M where there would be more money. He did the right thing. He told his staff. He told his players, like, that's all on A&M rug pulling. Like, Stoops didn't do anything wrong there. So it's like that's what's even more brutal about it. But as far as like Machiavellian there, man, great move by A&M to take an SEC opponent and collapse their culture.
You know what really put a thumb in our eye?
Hmm.
Mac Brown, tanned, rested, and ready.
Yeah. Yeah, and he has a weird way of like, he's like at our basketball game. He has a weird way of like being an enemy and still inside the. It's
Being
so
an
weird, like a rival team, right? Like playing North Carolina, but still like moving around. You got to watch old Mac for double agency.
If it wasn't conveyed properly by my tone, no,
Likely not going to occur.
I don't think that should occur.
Mississippi State, Van Buren, baby. I like him.
No,
What happened?
he's gone.
Where'd he go?
Not Mississippi State.
He transferred?
Yeah, it's going to be Blake Shapen. Yeah, your favorite.
Dude, hell yeah. Hell yeah. He's better than y'all think. Mark my words, he's better than
We'll see if he's recovered from his ACL.
That's that'll be fascinating. Blake Shapen, I'm excited, man. I think he's a good quarterback. I think we have a Baylor bias.
He is transferring to LSU, Van Buren.
Ooh, that's
Good get.
I like that too.
So you're saying, I think it's bold and I love it. You're saying Mississippi State is going to play in the SEC title game.
Without it, well, national championship.
Perfect.
Yeah. Here's the problem with Shapen. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's better than people say he is. And so it makes me sound like I really like him when really I'm just saying I think he's better than the average person thinks he is. I also think he's
24.
I also think he blows it. Like every time it matters at the end, historically, because I've done so many breakdowns on him through Baylor.
Yeah.
He almost always blows it. Like, so it's like he plays awesome quarterback, like fun quarterback until he has to make that play in the fourth quarter. And then he's going to like get strip sacked. So that's with Shapen, but I do like Shapen more than fans do. And we'll see that like really the Inside Texas board, anytime I mention him, they're like, oh, he sucks. And it's like, he doesn't suck. He's just not elite.
Well, Mississippi State is plus 50,000.
Okay. I like
that's a good bet.
Dude, 100%.
That's a
What's the
great
payout there, you know?
So like just throw down some minor money to make it like just throw down like 10 grand.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And dude, that's real money if you win it.
He's not an illusion. Blake Shapen's an idea that we carry in our hearts.
You know who's 1-0 against Mississippi State?
The chosen one. The chosen one.
That's right.
Yeah. That's going to be fun. Vanderbilt, your boy.
Diego Pavia's 11th year of eligibility.
Yep.
So, you know, by the new rules, technically, Pavia could apply to a master's or PhD program in Winterness and play until he's 30, 31 years old.
Yeah.
Like under the new rules, he can do that.
Yeah.
I think he will do that.
He should.
Yeah.
No NFL measurables. Keep going.
You're right.
Van Wild it.
What the NFL can't measure? Corazon.
Yeah. There we go.
That's Spanish.
Yeah.
Spanish for kidneys.
Yeah. Hey,
Heart.
thank you. Thank
No,
you,
it's heart.
ACC. Thank you, ACC.
That's right.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, Pavia, if you guys have followed me, I may have introduced you to Diego Pavia before you knew about him.
You did.
Because back when he was at New Mexico State, he was winning me money and winning them games. And he was a hero in Las Cruces, and he became a hero at Vandy. Beat Bama, the greatest win in school history. Diego Pavia delivered that. And
The funniest part is we still didn't understand Alabama. Whenever I was watching Alabama and Georgia play it, you know, it was like the game of the century. And all I got from watching Alabama, Georgia earlier in the year with neither one of these teams is as good as we think. But because they played each other, they looked elite. And then Bama lost to Vandy, and we treated it like this was the greatest Bama. I was like, guys, Bama's just not very good.
but you have the context of Vanderbilt football. It's the greatest win.
It's the greatest. It literally is, though.
And then, by the way, their bowl game win was one of the greatest, ninth on their greatest wins of school history. So Diego Pavia has delivered. He is awesome. He's a winner. If you guys don't know much about him, he was a state championship wrestler as well as a football player in New Mexico. He was a good enough wrestler that he was getting offers from like Nebraska, like real wrestling schools. He was like, no, I want to play football. He went to the New Mexico Military Academy. Went to junior college, and basically New Mexico State offered him almost sort of like a charity scholarship. He was 7th on the depth chart when he came in, and he was the starting quarterback by the end of
his
fall
mentality
practice.
is incredible, dude.
He's an amazing dude, like pure force of will. Like the whole winner quarterback thing is way overblown. He just wins. Like he's a winner.
Yeah, and he makes good decisions. He looked a little weird against us, which I was surprised. He did some silly stuff on his interception, but generally, man, really sound, can orchestrate that offense, which is a fun offense. Like, yeah, I think everyone root for him until you play him that day, and as long as you win, then you keep rooting for him. But he also can get people fired up. He talks a lot of noise, man.
Yep.
The psychological warfare is also strong.
He doesn't act like a quarterback.
Correct. He's like a linebacker.
He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
So when linebackers are like, "I'll see you after the game," he's like, "Great."
Yeah. Actually, I would like to invite you to the fight.
Yeah. He's like, "I'll be here."
Yep. Georgia.
What are they going to do? They're going to go Gunnar Stockton, right?
Yeah.
So how good can Gunnar Stockton be with an offseason of development? I don't know, but I mean, he was a highly recruited quarterback for a reason. We know he's mobile. I don't think he embarrassed himself against Notre Dame.
Mm-mm.
I thought I thought the structure around him disintegrated.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think at least he'll be passable. We know. I think Georgia is got to they got to shake some stuff out in that program. They're weird. Like, I understand Texas fans have a different opinion of Georgia because they played really hard when they played us.
But watch every other game.
Watch every other game. It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
So weird.
It was so frustrating when they beat us twice because I was like, man, this is not Georgia from 3 years ago. This is a weird team.
There's weird stuff going on in that program. And I think Kirby Smart's going to try to prune out some dudes that aren't contributing to the culture. And then, I'm pretty sure they're going to run the ball and play defense.
Shocking. Even though they have been passing a lot more, man.
Oh, they have, but I think they're going to shift.
They're going to go back to the old school. And I have heard Georgia fans feel like they said like we've lost our identity with the kind of like the throw it around the yard ball.
Well, they won 2 national titles throwing it around.
So. Correct, but I've heard that like they lost their winnerness. But also, I don't think the fans liked Carson Beck. So it's like I think that was probably a big factor too. I didn't mind it when old Stetson was throwing it around the yard, huh?
Yep.
Arkansas.
Taylon Green, baby. Another Texas high school quarterback.
Also a fun quarterback to watch, but clearly you can put the cap on him if you have a good defense.
Arkansas got freaking pillaged in the portal. Talk about a coach who went to the coaches meeting and definitely voted for the January 2nd through 12th window.
Yeah.
That would be Sam Pittman. I mean, people just combed through his roster to include Texas. We went and got Brad Spence, right, off the defense. Ole Miss is treating Arkansas like a junior college. They went in there and got, 4 guys? And then they had a bunch of guys that were quality players who are graduating, who are going to the NFL. So it's going to be Taylon Green.
What about the number 1 wide receiver? Is Armstrong going pro?
He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah. And then their number 2 wide receiver, Satania, is at OU.
Yeah, he went to OU. That was the slot.
The tight end, Ole Miss. Like, they're gone. They're done, man.
Their tight end was good, too. I'm blanking on his name, but he was a good
player. Luke Haas.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that sucks. Yeah, if I'm Taylon, I'm going to grad transfer.
Taylon's going to one man gang it. I think they paid him, and to keep they just needed to keep at least the face of the program.
Yeah.
But they bled everywhere else. So between the portal and the draft, Arkansas just doesn't have any upside. So
Texas.
Isn't it weird how college football, if you go historically, Arkansas should be the team pillaging Ole Miss, right?
Right.
But Ole Miss, just simply by virtue of good Twitter and getting their alums to pay.
And fun offense.
And a fun off. I mean, they've just become like a destination. But historically, Arkansas is the great program. Ole Miss is traditionally also ran.
Exactly. Yeah. It's an exercise in marketing that's going really well.
It's all shifted.
Texas A&M, baby. Marcel Reed.
Marcel Reed, Heisman dark horse until they play someone and he throws 3 picks like Connor Wegman. No, he's a little smarter than Connor Wegman. I don't think he's as susceptible to magic. What do you think?
That video when they released it is still one of the all-time.
No, bro.
That was so awful, man. That was hilarious. Even the A&M fans were like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
This is really infuriating.
Yeah, they were like, "Wait, okay,
We didn't realize.
yeah."
Oh,
But yeah, I think Marcel Reed 1,000 times better than that. So
I think he'll be a good college quarterback.
so do I.
I don't know if he's got great in him. We'll see. But I don't know. I think they got the tech guy in the portal, Micah Hudson.
Mm-hmm. But also, isn't he left for, or at least took a break for mental health reasons. And then wasn't he back at Tech, like hanging around Tech? Not officially, though. I don't know. Something weird's going on there.
That's so stupid.
But I actually do think A&M's wide receiver portal recruiting was interesting.
Who'd they get of note?
So they have, let's see all of them.
Refresh me.
Texas.
They lost Noah Thomas, right?
Yeah. And that was one that actually I wanted. Let's see who all they had. He's who I thought was the most interesting. It's not pulling up my good list.
I like how you turn the word interesting into many more syllables.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Okay, so they got Concepcion from NC State.
Oh, he's good.
Exactly. Then they got Mario Craver, who we played at Mississippi State. Remember,
He's got a lot of talent.
Their speed guy.
Wow, they upgraded their receiver core. Concepcion's awesome. If you guys haven't seen him.
And then they had Micah Hudson. We don't know what's going on there.
Well, that's good for A&M.
Yeah. So like they took some actual now Micah Hudson not being there kind of limits that, but Concepcion and Craver and potentially Hudson, that's a good upgrade at the wide receiver.
Concepcion is continuing our Spanish theme today.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I think it's French.
Concepcion?
Yeah.
No.
I think it is.
No.
I think it's a Louisiana name.
Get out of here.
They got absolutely not.
It's Spanish for conception.
It is, but they're both Romance languages. There's a lot
Concepcion y Macalita.
There's a lot of them that sound super similar.
Man.
All right, so you feel good about Texas A&M in the quarterback. You think they're going to have stable quarterback play?
Reed is Timu Daniels. That's great.
We've had
Jaden Daniels.
We've had some good jokes today.
That's pretty good. That's a good comp.
Yeah.
I like Marcel Reed. I really do. I think he's a good college quarterback, but I think his faults are pretty obvious. But he could grow. I mean, dual threat guy who doesn't turn the ball over is a guy you can go win with in college.
100%. All right, Paul. Now we're on our offense.
Paul knows enough Spanish to woo a white woman. That's actually correct.
Yeah,
That is correct.
one of his signature moves. All right, offensive reload. So I've heard the fans, the Texas, we're in the reload phase, baby. We're Nick Saban's Bama. We're old school Kirby's Georgia. So we're just going to be able to pick it up and keep going on the offensive side of the ball. My point is we are not returning any outside receivers. We're not returning a tight end. We're only returning one, maybe two, depending on who starts, offensive linemen. Our running back room still has questions. Arch Manning is a good player, but he's his new starter. And this is all I told you, too, that what got me thinking about this. Cooper Manning was doing an interview. He's doing the rounds for the Super Bowl because it's in New Orleans and their family's from there. And they were asking basically, they just made a statement that like, man, Arch is coming in with that Texas offense, that Steve Sarkisian offense, going to be basically hinting that it was automatic. And Cooper Manning was like, let's pump the brakes here. Like these are all new starters and stuff like that. Let's be reasonable. And I thought that was interesting that he kind of was like, let's be realistic here, guys. This is a ton of new starters and offenses need a lot of rehearsal. So how do you feel about the offense? I feel like we are going to see, in some ways, we're going to move forward with Arch at quarterback because he can do some interesting things that Quinn couldn't. But I think overall, Quinn if you could have had Arch with Quinn's situation last year, I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah, Quinn had some really good surrounding personnel his last 2 years.
Yeah.
that you would have loved to have started Arch off with in his first year.
Yeah. And that was the plan, right? Quinn came back last year, and that wasn't part of the plan 3 years ago. It was Quinn was going to go 2 and out and then dip, and then that way you would have the offensive line. Remember, part of the Manning's recruiting pitch is we have the 5 stars on offensive line for you. So he's going to have Kelvin. He's going to have DJ Campbell when they're 3 years older. And that
best laid plans of mice and men, right? So,
Correct.
Hey, interestingly, if you guys aren't on Inside Texas, Eric has an interesting article about some of the early redshirt freshmen guys, the guys we forget about. We're all fired up about the incoming recruits, and we're fired up about the starters. We always forget about the prior recruiting class that we were fired up about because they're all redshirting, right? Aaron Butler is apparently getting a lot of good opinions so far in this offseason. Young wide receiver from California, right? So apparently he's turning some heads. So that's good. We still need to go get a guy in the portal. Like every other program in college football, we need to go get a guy in the portal. So
you need your A.D. Mitchell. You need your Matthew Golden.
We need somebody else. And I think we'll have some guys. I still think we need a tight end.
So do I.
But we'll see. That spring portal is going to be really interesting.
I think we need an outside receiver, a tight end, and a running back.
I agree on the running back thing. Tashard Choice says he's good, but I don't think he's good. So We'll see.
Yeah, we don't want any hubris or ego to sneak up in there. It's like, hey, just take the guy. We saw what happens when your number one goes down.
Where are hubris and ego on the depth chart?
Paul, you're so witty, man.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, that's where as soon as coaches like we're good, and I know you don't have 7 NFL players, I always think that that's just kind of self back padding.
Do you think hubris is a French word?
No.
Okay.
Concepcion is French.
Listen, it's Spanish, and it's named after the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin, and the Spanish don't mess around with that. They'll name themselves Jesus. They like the iconography right there in front of you. And Concepcion he's Googling it up right now.
The Virgencita. That's my wife's Mexican, so trust me, I'm aware of all of that. But I'll give it to you on this one. I think
you're not giving me anything. I'm informing you.
You're taking it.
I took it.
Spanish vatos.
Thank you for calling us vatos. You could have used another pejorative.
Yeah. So knowing that, we need a wide receiver, particularly probably outside, tight end that has a blocking focus, right?
Yeah.
And then a running back that adds surety to a room that's been injured and has a good selection of kind of mid-tier performance we've seen, but not.
I mean, I don't want to add a running back if it's a body. I want to add a dude.
I want to add a starting running back.
Yeah, I want to add a badass.
Yeah.
Who pushes CJ Baxter, and if CJ Baxter gets injured again, I don't want to throw up our hands and go, "Oh, bad luck. Who could have foreseen it?" Us. He's been injured 2 years in a row.
Correct. So to answer the question, rebuild or reload? Noticeable step back in offensive production or not?
Reload.
Okay, there we go.
Rebuild.
Okay.
Sort of a combo.
So you think we're going to improve in some? Here's where I think the made-up word can work. I think we're going to improve in some ways with Arch. I think we're going to improve in some downfield deep passing, which is going to matter and give us some explosives, and it's going to change. But I also think we're going to take natural step backs. Well, the running game was actually pretty hit or miss, so maybe it gets better. Offensive line, I think we're going to take a step back, probably in pass blocking. I hope we can do better on the interior run blocking. There's no evidence of that, but we are doing a regime change there, so there's potential for that.
Yeah.
So I think a fan at the end of the year is going to be able to argue.
So how about this? Try this on for our take shop here. The take workshop. Arch is better at navigating the pocket.
Right.
But our pass protection is going to get worse.
Right.
So could Arch effectively just cancel that out just with pocket movement and pocket manipulation? Because, Ewers did a lot of things well for us. Managing the pocket was not one of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was a theme that you and I talked about a lot. I wrote about it in my postmortems. he's responsible for 12 to 15 sacks, like single-handedly.
Yeah.
Like blundering into a defender that was
running
blocked.
into them. Yeah.
Arch doesn't really do that. And I don't just mean his legs. I mean, if Arch is set in the pocket, he can move subtly in the pocket better than Ewers, and he's just stronger.
He can also shrug off.
If a guy's going by and he gets a hand on him, he's not going to fall. He's just
Yeah.
going to shrug him off and throw the ball.
Yeah.
He just said, "Get off me."
So I think you're right. In the past game, we've, losing a Kelvin Banks, right? You're going to have some drop off there. But if your quarterback can scramble, stay strong in the pocket, maybe it equalizes. I think we're going to be able to pass better deep downfield. I think we're probably going to trade that for some interceptions.
Yeah.
But also the argument with Quinn last year, not this last season, the season prior, was like Quinn's not doing a ton of exciting stuff for us, but at least he doesn't turn the ball over. This year, it was Quinn wasn't doing a ton of exciting stuff and he was turning the ball over. So it's like there was kind of that thing too, where it's like, I think we have the picture of Quinn is like taking care of the ball perfectly, and that's not what happened last year. So I think Arch will throw more interceptions, but I don't think it's going to be like a crazy jump from Quinn.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to throw like 17 or anything, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to push the ball downfield. I think he has that confidence, and I also think he's young, so he's going to do that. But I feel like that's what I'm saying. It feels like where we're going to lose, we can gain. It feels like it might balance out, but the reality is too is like you need personnel, man. And so like we need for sure – I want to know we have an NFL early round running back, an NFL first round receiver, like that matters.
Well, the one thing that's not foreseeable that we always struggle with is who's going to break out that's already on the roster. At this time last year,
Gunnar Helm.
Like our Gunnar Helm is serviceable.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm was a star for us.
Well, questioning the coaching staff's development is unwise. They've done that consistently on defense.
My point is it's not anticipable and anticipable. I stretch that out like the way you say interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting. So my point is we're trying to like project and stuff. Aaron Butler could have 70 catches.
I like Aaron Butler.
Go
watch his overtime documentary. Go watch it. You'll see how he like works out and trains. I actually like that kid. I've liked him since I saw that documentary on him.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess my point is we're trying to project some stuff that we don't know.
We can't.
Yeah, we can't. So,
but also we're not even getting a spring game. So it's like that's
I know. We're not even getting a good scout.
Yeah. So it's
I should write my preview book right now.
I know that's where it's kind of frustrating too. It's like we're not even going to get to really see in the spring like who is showing or like who's at what at the depth chart besides Inside Texas reporting. We're not going to get to see it with our own eyes.
I don't know. What do you think we'll see some sort of spring something?
I mean, there should be some type of fan service occurring. Like that's just to me like good business. Plus, it's going to help concessions and that kind of stuff. But
how about they play hide and seek?
Well, that exactly like what are you going to do? Like dumb Pro Bowl games that like, what are you going to do? That's going to, I mean, I guess you can just bring them out there for like autographs for the kids and stuff and all the people that hawk the autographs on the secondary market. It was really what's going on. But I don't know what
if they did some LARPing stuff?
Like Civil War reenactments or
I'm thinking more like Dungeons and Dragons, like the guys at Pease Park, the nerds who show up and they throw like lightning bolts at each other and they hit each other with foam swords.
Let's just bring the Texas Quidditch team in.
Yeah.
And really give them an audience.
I just feel like they need to assign them Dungeons and Dragons roles. And like Colin Simmons, your dexterity is 16.
Yeah.
Your strength is 18.
But what
You're a half orc.
are we gonna do?
I don't know.
And would any of it be even remotely? Would any of it be even remotely satisfying?
I don't know. Probably a dunk contest.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's gonna have to be dumb games. Like that's all it's gonna be. It's gonna
maybe
be
9-foot goal. That's my jam.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to see, the one event, the fastest players got a race because I'm tired of having to get the intel from Eric on who's the fastest. I want to.
Yeah, he might not be making it up.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I want to see it, man. Like all the players care about who's the fastest.
I want to see DJ Campbell lined up on the 10, and then he races Aaron Butler, who's on the goal line.
Yeah,
and they see who can get to the 50 first.
And then we should do the thing where they talk about putting the average guy in the Olympics for scale. you can understand. So we should take
have
one.
Rich Eisen
Yeah,
superimposed.
we'll see, man. But the offense is going to be weird this year because when there's that many moving pieces, super hard to project. But we'll see.
I think we have a super chat question.
Butler Niblet for kick return, punt return duties. Niblet's interesting there. Butler.
It's you know what? I hate to be Mr. Cautious guy here. If it depends on their ability to catch the ball reliably. So you could be pretty dynamic with the ball in your hands, but if you can't catch it reliably, they won't put you back there.
Well, and also the reality is, man, like how often do you actually return?
Punts more often than kicks, but
right. But it's like it's like a lot of it is exactly what you're saying is fielding the ball.
Yeah.
You know? And whoever's the best at it, because that's what you're doing a majority of the time is just kind of sitting it down.
I'm gonna miss Silas Bolden.
I both am and am not. Because man, he added some excitement.
But I like it.
But he also never lost the ball. So
well, except when he got stripped.
Yeah, but it's like dude, it should have happened every punt. But that's where it's like what a fun player. Also a player that I think sadly I'm gonna always kind of what if about.
Yeah, I kind of wish we'd incorporated him more. I really do. But
Sark is weird with his wide receiver.
Well, also we'd put a lot of investment in Isaiah Bond, and frankly, that didn't play out. The bond market did not play in our favor.
Yeah.
The bond market did not want to play.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was also we need to be wary of that, right? When we bring in that first round receiver, that culture needs to be strong fit there as well, right?
Wide receiver is going to do wide receiver stuff, man.
It is remarkable. Their archetype.
Matthew Golden is a rarity at that position.
1,000%.
And it will help his draft stock.
It will. I want to see if he goes first round. I hope he does, man.
Well, there are like NFL draft profiles now that are like great hands, good separation, stronger than he looks. And then it's like no drama, high character, nice contrast to typical wide receiver temperament.
Yeah.
Like it actually matters.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, he's going to, I hope all the best for him, man. He did everything the right way. And just like, even when he wasn't the number one guy to start, just like all the stereotype, like just keep working. He did that. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Golden will go first round, book it. I hope so, man.
I hope so.
Paul, thanks for hanging out. Fans, thanks for hanging out with us. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Hook 'em.